Welcome to our podcast, A Shot at Bliss. This is Yadi.
And Melly, and this is another episode of our series, Bliss in Disguise, where we will be discussing all those daily moments that can negatively affect your day.
Yeah, and as little as the challenge is that's thrown your way, it can totally mess with your mood. So in this series, we will share with you guys how we deal with these obstacles and the negative mentality that follows to create a pattern that allows us to live a more conscious and overall happy life.
And today's topic is the power of no does not exist. The limit does not exist.
The same.
Okay, so oftentimes we find ourselves saying no a lot throughout the day, or just in general throughout your life, you say no a lot, right? And I think nowadays it's considered as something empowering to be able to say no to, situations that you just don't want to be in. If you don't feel like going out that day, just, say no. If you...
Anything you don't want to do, you say no.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the saying, there is power in the word no. That's where it comes from, right?
Yeah, because you say no and then people listen.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't do it, or other people don't do it when you tell them not to.
Right. But we came to the conclusion that there is no power in that word. It's actually something negative.
Yeah, I don't think no works as much as people think it does.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen it happen in parenting. My parents would always tell me no. And they would tell me no on a lot of things. Some, they would explain why. And then some they wouldn't. They would just say, because I said so.
Mm-hmm.
Or because that's my house rules,
Mm-hmm. Or because I'm the mom.
Yeah.
Or I'm the dad.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself listening more to them when they explained it to you versus
Definitely.
when they didn't? They just kind of shut you down with the no? Yeah,
definitely. Whenever I was shut down with just a no explanation, just a no, I would immediately get defensive and I would argue my side, and because they simply wouldn't give me a reason. So I would keep arguing my side. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when they would explain something to me, it was completely different. And it kind of those no's with an explanation, they would stick in my head and I'd be like, that makes sense, that makes sense. And I get why they're telling me no.
Yeah.
And it was way more clear than a no by itself.
Mm-hmm. No, it makes sense. I see that with my children.
Yeah?
Sometimes, I'm tired throughout the day. I really don't feel like explaining myself. So I'll just hit them with the, no, not today. But why, mommy? Why not? Because I said no.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But that doesn't work. That never works for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have to get better on, explaining it to them, because when I do, my daughter, she kind of quiets down and she asks questions. She asks a lot of questions, which is why I decide to just kind of, hit her with the no sometimes, because I want to avoid those questions after a long day. But in reality, I'm not doing any good to her. By just saying no, right? And I find that when I say, when I give her an explanation as to why we can't, she's okay with it, right? And she tries to look for alternatives, which, that's her brain, thinking. So I remember when I was a kid, my mom would tell me no all the time.
Yeah.
But it was just because she felt like saying no, because she was the mom, because she just didn't want to let me do it.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever it was that I wanted to do. And I rebelled, of course.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand, right? And I feel like, it would have helped me a lot, and it would have helped my relationship with her growing up if she would have, taken the time to explain things to me as to why not.
Yeah. And just help you understand it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember my dad, he would never be one to just say no. He would explain everything.
And a little too much.
A little too much, girl. If you ask any of my girlfriends that I have, from high school, they remember that before we would go out, he would sit us down and he would give us this entire speech as to how we should act and this and that. And, he just over-explains everything. And of course, that was also very frustrating. I would have rather him not do that at that moment.
Yeah, because then it becomes the same way as a no, right? You no longer listen.
Kind of. But, check this out. I feel like that helped me out a lot more because my perspective, changed as I got older. Everything he told me, I just kind of, like it's in my head. I remember it and I value it.
So even though you weren't really listening in the moment, it was still seeping into your head.
Yeah, it was. And it was because it wasn't just a definite no. It was like, hey, like this is why this can't happen, or, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that, I believe that was definitely, a lot better than just a no. So there's a balance, of course. Now I'm trying to balance. But
now with your kids.
Now with my kids, not over explaining things, which I find myself doing a lot too sometimes.
Yeah.
And also, not shutting them down with the no.
Yeah. But I know, especially with like Latino parents, and those old school Latino parents, their go-to is just like, I say no because I'm the dad. You're supposed to respect that. I get like some people feel like that is that they have a lot of power in their no. But I don't think they do. And then maybe you do when they have kids, like really little kids, that they're telling them no. But let's say that same Latino dad is trying to tell the wife no, or like an 18 or 20-year-old no. I don't think a wife and an older kid is going to listen to that no as much as like the little kid.
Yeah, the little kid will eventually learn.
Yeah.
To, just,
to think for themselves.
Yeah. And that, at the end of the day, I mean, if they don't listen to the parent, if they don't listen to that no, I mean, what is that parent really going to do about it?
Exactly. And that's what they learn. And so they start doing it. So even though a parent tells a kid no, or, I don't know if that really happens between a husband and a wife. But maybe even they might like contradict each other if somebody says no.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that happens a lot.
Yeah. So the no longer becomes, it's no longer as powerful. If somebody's standing up to your no, your power, your no has no power. And you just lost it.
And check this out. We believe that, you have to give a reason with the no, like an explanation as to why not, right? So if these parents, we're not saying, okay, the parent said no.
It's not saying that your parents should tell, or that the parent should say yes to everything the kid says.
No, we're just saying that there's different ways of, going about saying no.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of different ways you can, say no with an explanation. You can just totally, completely take no out of your vocabulary and just say, how about we do this?
Provide alternatives.
Exactly. And provide alternatives, because those are big, huge, at least with kids. I've learned that with my kids, I definitely have to provide alternatives. But then again, as a parent, you learn that if you provide alternatives for your children, you make them think that they have the power to choose. But of course, the alternatives that you're providing for them are already approved by you. So that's also the power of, not saying no. The power of you having complete control over what your children choose.
Yeah.
Because you're the one providing them with these alternatives.
Instead of saying no to, let's say, I don't know, what's something you would normally say no to your kid?
So my daughter is turning 7 next month, but she has a little friend of hers that's about what is it? She's turning 10 this year, but she's super tiny. So we never really remember how old she is until she tells us, my birthday's next month, I'm turning 10. And we're like, oh my gosh, we forget how old you are.
Yeah.
And why are you hanging out with my daughter? Because my daughter's only 6. But so our neighbor friend, she comes to our house sometimes. Well, she used to, because she recently moved away, but she would come to our house sometimes, and she would be wearing like heels, like high heels.
Oh.
That her mom would buy her, right? And that's completely okay. As girls, we love to dress up. But she would wear them out and stuff. And so my daughter wants to wear heels now, when she goes out. And sometimes she would come, our little neighbor friend would come to our house wearing like a crop top.
Okay.
And my daughter wants to wear crop tops now. And I'm like, oh, honey, that's not okay.
Yeah.
She's a lot older than you are. And even then, I'm not sure if that's an option for us. So that's something that I would totally just say no to.
Yeah.
Because that's just not an option. Like my daughter's not going to be running around with a crop top on.
So instead of saying no, you tell her yes, like you can wear certain clothing and you provide her with the options of clothing you approve, and then she gets to choose based on her personality which ones of those she wants to wear.
Like, hey, how about, we don't own any crop tops, so how about we use this shirt and then we tie it up, we tie a little knot in the front. Of course, we can't have your belly showing because that's not okay, but it looks cute still. And she usually picks the little shirt with the knot in front.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely an alternative. But if I were just to say no, that's not going to happen, and just leave it at that, she will obviously get upset with me, and then eventually start doing it behind my back.
Yeah.
And I know that'll happen because that happened with me. I remember I would do a lot of things behind my parents' back because they would say no to me.
Yeah.
And
so you would find your own ways.
Yeah. And check this out. This is a perfect example with clothing. When I was in middle school, a lot of the girls at the school that I went to would hem their skirts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you had like you had a uniform?
Plaid skirts, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We wore uniforms. So a lot of the girls would, sew their skirts up. And I mean, their parents would do that for them, right? And they ended up being really short because the skirts that you buy at the store are just super long. They're like below your knees. So then I would tell my mom that, right? I would tell her, hey, like we should just, cut it and, like sew it. She's like, no, why do you want that? This and that. And I'm like, because the skirts are super long. I'm not going to wear it like this. She didn't want to listen to reason. She just didn't want me to do it. So I went ahead and did it. And it was super short. I did it like super, super, super short. And that's how I would wear it. And, I mean, she said no to me. We could have like compromised, right? I could have like, I don't know. She could have done it for me and done it like maybe not as short as I wanted it at that time. But she could have.
a length that she approved of?
Exactly. Right? But she completely shut me off. So I went ahead and did it myself. And, I was over here walking around with my little mini skirt. And I wasn't the only one, a lot of girls did it, but their parents knew about it.
Yeah.
And my parents didn't until they caught me.
But that's a whole different story.
That's a whole different story. It's cool. We cool now.
You changed schools.
But yeah, so, there is, no power in the word no, honestly.
I don't think there is. Whoever you say no to, like if you're thinking that when you say no, someone is actually going to listen to your no, it's like you don't even know if they're doing it, like you said, behind their back. Like they could still be doing it. They just don't tell you anymore. And do you really want that kind of relationship where they're going behind your back?
No. Yeah. So these, we're talking about relationships between parents and children, right?
So all these no's that your parents tell you with something like clothing, it can lead to a lot of negativity that is being thrown at you regarding your image. And I remember like, I don't know what they would tell you, but I remember like my dad would tell me like, oh, your hair looks better when it's curly. Like don't straighten it. Just leave it curly. And I loved my hair straightened. So for him to tell me that I didn't look good when I would straighten it was like really sad. Because you're telling me that, that I should only wear it curly because you approve of it. And I'm like, I feel like I like how I look when it's straightened. I should be allowed to wear it straight. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of this negativity that gets in your head about your image.
Yeah. I think I went through something similar with my parents when I was younger, where I wanted to cut my hair and my dad just, he never really, I didn't get grounded for it, but he would for the longest time tell me like, no, it's not, like don't do it because your hair, it's beautiful when it's long and girls look nicer with long hair. And I've always had long hair, so I really wanted to cut it. And when I did, I liked it, but a part of me was just not fully embracing it because I felt like, oh, like maybe I don't look as pretty anymore, right? Because pretty girls have long hair. So I can totally relate to that, whole image and, self-esteem.
Especially hearing it from your parents. It's a kind of sad, that they put this connotation of you don't look good, and and you know that you look good, but they just keep badgering you about like, don't do that, don't straighten your hair, don't cut your hair. And so when you do it, you question yourself, which is so bad, because I remember I would get lots of compliments from other people when I would straighten it, that it looked nice, because it was just something different, you know? The fact that my dad was telling me that, maybe I still didn't listen to him.
But it did affect you.
But it did affect me, yeah. It stayed with me. You know, like the fact that I still remember that today when I haven't even like been around my dad, like getting ready, you know, in a long time.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, so as parents, we have to watch ourselves, you know, and how we talk to our children, what we say to them, because we are their inner voice. And, you know, a no goes a long way, but not in the positive ways that people have made it out to be. It goes long ways as to, you know, affecting your kids' self-esteem, as to affecting your relationship with them, because, you know, they won't come to you for many things if
they'll hide things from you.
Yeah, if they know that all you're going to do is just shut them down.
Yeah, with no explanation.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with communication. You know, communicating with your children, talking to them. Don't take the easy and the lazy way out, as to just, you know, you don't want to explain it to them today, so just, you know, a no will do, because it will never do, and it will stick with them, and there's going to come a point in time where they just will no longer come to you.
Yeah.
And that's going to hurt you, mom and dad. I know it'll hurt me. So, you know, let's just try our best to change that stigma of there is power in the word no, because there really isn't. For very few things, I don't know if people say there is because of, I don't know, what is it? When little boys are messing with you at school, maybe that's what they mean. You know, like there's power in the word no, like girls, stand up for yourself, say no, don't mess with me kind of thing.
Yeah, but you're still explaining why.
Exactly. And there's always superiors.
We just mean like you can't say no just because you want to say no. That doesn't resolve anything.
Exactly. So we want to, you know, get the word out and let you guys know, you know, younger people that listen to us, that the power of no doesn't literally mean that. You know, it doesn't mean that in to apply it to every situation in your life, because oftentimes, more than oftentimes, you need to give an explanation. You need to know where that no is coming from, and other people need to know in order for them to respect you and to be, you know, respected.
I think it's more when we're talking more about the power of no with relationships, like with parents' relationships, with your significant other relationship, when, you know, with your family, with people that you're trying to have a good relationship with. Like, you need communication. You can't just give a simple no to somebody who you're trying to have a good relationship with.
We want to take a minute to tell you a little bit about our podcast journey. We have been loving doing these podcasts for you guys. And honestly, we don't think we would have been loving it this much if it wouldn't have been made this easy for us. So if it has ever crossed your mind to start a podcast, we want to tell you, go for it. And do it with Buzzsprout.
We did lots of research and watched videos and read many reviews, and nothing compared to Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout has made it so easy to launch, promote, and track our podcast. Everything on the website is as easy as one click of a button. From uploading your first episode to getting your podcast on all the major podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many more.
But tracking the podcast progress has definitely been our favorite feature on the Buzzsprout website, as it breaks it down into top apps, top episodes, and what part of the world people are listening in, all with the exact numbers.
So follow the link in the description to let Buzzsprout know that we sent you, and to give you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan, all while helping support our show. Join us in the podcasting world made easy with Buzzsprout.
So you mentioned relationships as well. So we just talked about the power of no, or not the power, there's no power in the power of no with parents, parent-child relationships.
Yeah.
But it also affects your relationship with, you know, your significant other.
Yeah. And this has to do with like the daily things, right? Whether it's like, or like deciding where to go. Or deciding where to go eat.
Or deciding like on like a party that you guys are going to have, and, you know, the theme or who you're going to invite, or is it going to be a big party or a small party?
It's just little like decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
That sometimes your significant other will just be like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And you're like, wait, why?
Yeah. Like, oh, why not?
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to. What?
I
What do you
know.
mean I don't want to?
Exactly. They say that and you just get even more tense and frustrated, right?
Yeah. So I've never understood that, honestly.
Yeah.
And they used to happen. I mean, it still happens, right, with us. But it's just so frustrating. And I try to, like, understand him. But how in the world am I supposed to understand my husband if he doesn't give me an explanation as to why he doesn't want to do that?
Yeah. And their only explanation is, because I don't.
Because I don't want to. Because I don't want to, Yadi. I told you I don't want to. It's like, well, I'm sorry, babe. I can't respect that, though, because, I don't know why you don't want to. And, that's always like our issue, like him saying no and me I just can't understand that. So I keep like asking him, but why? But why?
You still keep pushing it. Yeah, because you're like, you didn't give me a reason. So I'm just going to keep giving you my reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes it could just end not very well, right?
Yeah.
Because, I'm pushing it. He's just like frustrated because I'm pushing it, but he still doesn't give me a good answer.
Yeah.
And then I just end up thinking that he's never really explored himself to the point to know why he's even saying no to things.
I know it happens with us all the time too.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to get him to tell me why.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll ask him, but why? Or what do you mean? Or like just questions to try to get it out of him. And he just won't give.
Yeah.
Like he won't give any more details except for he just doesn't want to do it. And I'm thinking, yeah, sometimes I think, okay, maybe he doesn't even know how to like dig in deep to know why he's saying no.
Yeah.
But you know what? Sometimes I'm like, I know that the reason why he's saying no is because that reason is not a good one. Like,
Not a good enough reason. Yeah. So my question is, are all guys like that? Men, are you guys all just no-sayers?
Yeah, you just can't think of why you're saying no.
You just say no because you just feel like it? Is that like the macho in you? You just don't feel the need to give an explanation?
Yeah, is that what it is?
Because I know I've heard it from my husband sometimes when he's just like super frustrated with me because I keep pushing it.
Yeah.
And he's just like, because I said no, I don't need an explanation.
Yeah, I get that too.
And I'm like,
And I'm like, I deserve an
Yeah, you do.
explanation. Like, why wouldn't I deserve an explanation?
and then I take it to a whole nother level. Like, what am I to you?
Yeah.
Who do you think I am? Am I not your wife? Yeah, so maybe it is the macho in them. Maybe it's the macho in a man to think that
They don't need to give an explanation.
Interesting.
But we expect it. And if we don't get an explanation, we'll keep pushing because we need a good reason to understand you why you're saying no.
Yeah.
Wait, so have any of these times that you've been like pushing for an explanation, have you ever received one?
Actually, I have.
Me too, but it's really rare.
It is rare. It is rare, but it's also not like it doesn't happen often where he's just like no. I feel like he just kind of gets in these moods, and I picked the wrong day to have a conversation, and he'll just he's just like no, like he doesn't
Yeah.
he doesn't want to tell me anything other than no, because there are times where we talk about something and he hits me with the no, I don't want to, and then he finally tells me why. And oftentimes I think it's just, he does have a good reason, but
But you would have never thought of that reason until they tell you. And this is what we're getting at. Like, we need that reason to understand you.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why they feel like they don't have to give that reason.
Yeah. But you know what? I do have friends that are the opposite. My girlfriends are the ones saying no because they don't want to.
But do they give a reason?
And the
No?
And their significant other is the one like, pushing for that reason. And I'm just like, oh, that frustrates me. I get frustrated with them because I'm like, we're opposite. I'm in his shoes. Like,
Yeah.
I understand him.
Yeah.
So it's not just men. I think maybe it's just people that grow up in in that dynamic of always
not needing a reason. It's just whatever the parent said.
because or growing up, yeah, listening to the parent always say no because I said so, right? And I feel like
so they grow up and they think, oh, that's all I need to say too.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
They're just entitled to that because that's how they grew up. Because their parents were once entitled to it, so now they're entitled to it.
Yeah, but that's not fair.
It's not fair, but I mean, we can't really do anything about it.
For me, I feel like when I get a no, I need an explanation. I need clarity. Like, I need to know why you're saying no and where you're coming from, because I'm obviously not thinking the same way you are. So I need help from you to get me there.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not that we're being pushy or we want to impose our will. It's that we really want to try to understand you.
And connect.
And and see where you're coming from. Because, this whole looking into each other's, souls and really understanding each other, it's a thing. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like both Melly and I are big on that. So, for our, couple to not want to do that and to not give us any more than a no, it's pretty devastating.
Yeah, to me, I just feel like it's kind of like a puzzle. Like, I want to put the pieces all together, or like a math problem. Like, I literally need some clarity where it's like, okay, 1 + 1 = 2. But when they tell me no, it's more like they're giving me half an answer plus a question mark equals another question mark. And I'm just like, I need more variables here, because there's nothing else to help me solve the equation. Like, I'm lost. You need to give me more.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Yeah, so, fellas and women, if you guys are ones to always just say no and not give an explanation, just remember where the other person is, coming from, and try to give them a little bit more respect by letting them know why not, right? Maybe you don't really know the answer to it either. So let them know that. Let them know, like, honestly, like, I don't even know why not. Like, I just really don't feel like it. Because when you just say no, it's not going to happen. It's just going to leave the other person confused. It's going to leave them thinking, feeling just neglected and disrespected, honestly, if they can't get anything out of you other than a no, right? Yeah. Like they're not important enough for you to give them a reason.
Yeah, and even just giving that answer of, I don't know. I don't really know why I just don't want to, or I just don't
but feel even like then that's not a good enough reason.
Yeah, but if they're saying like I don't even know why, it kind of still gives you a like, oh, okay, maybe they're just having a bad day, right? You kind of think that. You kind of go into like, maybe they're just having a bad day, or maybe they don't even want to go into it today. And so you're like, okay, maybe today I'll give them a pass. Just getting that is like gonna help out a few times. I'm not saying all the time, but even like a few times we might give them a pass and not even question them or badgering them, because we're getting a little something from them.
Yeah. So it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's something that we should all consider, to just kind of, dig in a little bit more into ourselves and see, why is it that we always say no to something? If, you're that type of person to always just say no without an explanation, look into yourselves a little bit deeper and see where that no is coming from.
I don't think they even realize they're doing it, though.
I think so. I think at our age, somebody has to have brought it up to them.
But to them, it's a norm.
Until somebody else brings it up. It's like...
Yeah, but they still think they're right. They still feel like they don't need to give an explanation.
You think so?
Yeah, it's their side.
I don't know. Because I know with my husband, he still gives me those... No, I don't need a reason, Yadi. It's just a no. And, when he tells me that, later on, we, obviously talk about it again. Me. I bring it up again and, explain to him as to why I need to know and, how I'm feeling, because I'm just not feeling okay with that answer. And he finally, admits like, okay, you're right. Like, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have that attitude about it. And then we talk about it, So he understands. It might not seem like he understands at that moment because he's just so adamant, like, no. But he knows that that's just not right, especially, doing it to me because I'm his, his wife. And it's like you said previously, it's a relationship that he still wants to continue, right? And it's something that he wants to work on. So he's not just gonna
like stand his ground on it. Like he's gonna be lenient.
Exactly. And he's gonna try to, like see my perspective. So I don't think that these, that people that say no all the time are people who just, they don't know that they're doing it. I'm pretty sure they're aware of it.
I think they might be aware of it, but they might not think that it's a big deal.
Until it is a big deal.
Until we make it a big deal.
Until they're married and a woman gets it out of them.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, what the difference is, because, I'm not married. And whenever we would have like those conversations where he would just say no, it would kind of end there and we wouldn't talk about it anymore because, we didn't see each other anymore after that. And so it kind of stayed there. And I think that's the difference.
That is the difference, right? Because then when you see him again, you have other things to talk to him about. And the last thing you want to do is just have an altercation because of something that happened like weeks ago.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
But maybe it is important, even if you don't live together or if you're not married, to like bring it up again later.
Yeah.
Like soon later.
Yeah. No, it is. I think so. At least for me, even when we were dating, I would always bring things up.
You're just a good communicator.
I think so. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm learning to be, because I used to be more of like, oh, he's not giving in to anything. Like, I'm just going to like let it go and hold it in. And that's bad because then I hold in that feeling and I keep it in the next argument we have. And all of a sudden, instead of just being a small argument the next time, it's like that argument plus the one we had last time, plus the one we had last time. Right. Like they all blended together.
I know. Yeah, no, it's definitely best to communicate and not hold in things.
Yeah.
Don't hold anything in because,
it backfires.
It does. It backfires.
The no also happens with friends and family. And for me, at least, I've seen it happen with get-togethers and parties. You constantly inviting that one person or that one family member, and they constantly keep telling you no. Like, no, they can't make it. No, they don't. They won't be able to make it. And after getting so many no's, you stop wanting to invite them. You're like, that person hasn't came around to the last 5 events I had in the year or last year or whatever it was. And you all of a sudden feel less motivated to invite them to the next one.
Or to even like continue a cool relationship with them.
Yeah, it questions your relationship, right? And so you may think you have power in your no by saying like no to going to certain events. But maybe just giving an explanation can help you resolve that friendship so that it doesn't deteriorate. Saying, you know what, no, I can't because I have another family event, or I already had this planned from months ago and I won't be able to make it. Or maybe it's just a coincidence, that a lot of these events are matching up with or their events they had planned already are matching up with the dates you're inviting them.
Or you know what, and it's okay if they even hit you back with the, I'm not comfortable, going because of, other people that are going to be there or whatnot. Like, that's totally okay. But when you're just,
they don't feel comfortable with where you're going.
Yeah, that's completely okay. Like, we're not saying that, you're not entitled to like saying no to anything, because there are times, where you really don't want to, and that's okay. But when you see that this other person's putting so much effort into, inviting you and, just communicating with you and wanting to just build, that relationship, and you're just always like, no, constantly saying no to them, but not giving them an explanation. It's just, it's one, it's just not cool. And two, this person obviously cares enough about you. So the least you can do is let them know why.
I think the why following the no is so important. And it's a basis because of communication. Communication helps so many relationships, or this act of saying no, and that's like good enough, is no longer valid. Like, it may have been at one time, because I'm sure at one time in the past it was a thing because so many people use it, But I think now everybody thinks of each other as equals, where they deserve an explanation, or they deserve to know why. You can't just tell someone no and they're going to listen to you. Or at least you can't do that to me.
So if you want to have a relationship with Melly,
You need to talk. I know my sister always brings this up about me when I was little, that I would always be like, anything that they would tell me, I would always be like, ¿y por qué? ¿Y por qué? And I always wanted to know more of why, the why.
Yeah.
Why this? Why that?
That's so cute.
And I think I'd still like that.
Why? I know. Oh my gosh. My daughter's like that too. Why to everything.
But I think that's
it's
a
natural
good
for kids to
thing.
be like that though. Until
That's how you learn.
you know what I've noticed though, and I find so sad when I see older kids around the age of like 8, 9, that they no longer ask things like that. You know, and I just feel like it comes from a place where they've been shut down so much that they just no longer find interest
Exactly.
in knowing why or even asking, because they don't feel like anyone will care to explain it to them.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't feel validated and
so they stop even
important.
asking. They stop asking why.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
They just take it.
So it's a natural instinct for kids to want to know things and to question things and to ask for things, right? It's not natural for parents and older people to shut them down by saying no because of their past experiences, because of how they were raised, because that's just what they want to do. That's what's not natural. When we continuously say no to children,
I feel like you kind of deteriorate their personality. You're no longer letting them like find themselves.
and we're robbing them from, that, that innocence of wanting to learn and wanting to know.
Yeah, wanting to keep learning. Yeah, I can see that happening. So that's why we wanted to bring out this message, of making sure to communicate, to take that extra effort to communicate. And actually, I kind of remember I would do this with like the youngest niece. I would always try to like explain everything, but I would be like your dad, where I would over explain and she'd be like, yeah, I get it. Like, you got your point across, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm talking too much. Okay, I got it.
You're coaching yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, Mindy, we got this. We got to stop talking.
I know, but I am an over explainer. Like, I love explaining things when I know what they are.
Yeah.
So I would do that to her all the time. So sorry to her.
That's so funny. So let's try to learn other words other than no, alternatives to no. Let's learn why we always say no and we give no explanation.
Let's work on our communication so we can have better relationships with everyone around us.
Yeah. Or at least the people that we want to keep around us.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have a relationship with everybody, just the ones that you want to.
Yeah.
Make sure you you put effort into them. So guys, we're ending it right here. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to check us out on our YouTube channel. This episode will follow with a video of us commenting on this episode, and that you can search us on YouTube under ASAP After Show. Go ahead and subscribe and like and comment, and check out our Instagram as well. Like and comment there. And yeah.
We'll catch you on the next one.
Bliss out, guys.
Bliss out.